welcome to another build video with me, Tom, from Red Radio Controlled Models. What we have here for you today is the FLIGHTLINE RC Tigercat. This model is a stunning size model. It's 1600mm wingspan by 1400mm long. What this means is you get a lovely sized aircraft in what is a fairly cheap package. Prices are around about £369 for a model of this size. It features twin 600kV outrunners, which is the same power setup that's in our FLIGHTLINE RC P38. Twin contra-rotating propellers, so you have no torque issues on takeoff, and features all of the standard 9-gram servos that you get in all the other free-wing models. The wings are detachable with one of the lovely wing looms, which I shall show you later, same as what the Avanti has. Also, this model features full retractable undercarriage with scale gear doors, which makes it clean up really well. It comes with a set of 4 decals for 4 different aircraft, so you can choose between various different models that you'd like. It runs on 2 4-cell 3000 to 4000s. Just one thing to note, this model does come with XT60s rather than Dean's connectors, but I'll show you that later. I'll be changing mine back over to Dean's anyway. It has full LED lighting. It does have 2 17-gram metal gears, obviously, for the larger control surfaces. It features full dummy radials. As you can see from the front of the box, it's an absolutely stunning kit. So what we'll do is we'll get on with the build video, and I'll go over some of the highlights as we go through. So the first thing that the manual says to do is to install the propeller on the Tigercat. Personally, I'm not going to do that myself, as I just feel that you're going to knock it and you could potentially damage the props as you're putting the rest of the model together. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is to put this nacelle onto the wing. Now, nacelles are handed, so make sure you get the right one to the right side. You'll see on the nacelle that you've got this raised sort of beam, and if I show you there, you can see that it's at an angle. Inside of the wing, just here, you've got the same thing. So that's how you can tell which nacelle goes to which wing, which is quite nice. All you need to do is grab all of this wiring out of this nacelle. You've got your power lead, which, as I said earlier, comes with an XT60. Now, you can get XT60 to Dean's adapters if you're running Dean's, but personally I'm just going to resolder it to the Dean's batteries that I'm using. Make sure that they run all in this groove that's in the wing. You just need to push them underneath this block just here. Now make sure that they're all under there and flush within the wing. They put this little bit of foam in just to hold the wires down. You can take that out, and you'll see in this wing you've now got one of the FLIGHTLINE RC control boards. Now you have, it's all labelled up, so you've got throttle on the bottom and you've got your, well, what will be landing gear at the top. So just make sure it's polarised with the rest of them, so white to white, black to black, red to red. So I'm just going to get all the wiring in now, and then I'll show you how to put the nacelle on. So once you've got all your wiring in place, all you've got to do is just make sure that all the wires stay in the groove in the bottom of the wing. Then just fit the wing into place. Now it can be quite fiddly, as it is quite a tight fit. So just make sure it seats nicely on there. So now I've got the wing flipped over. You can see you've got 4 screw holes to put this nacelle on. Now make sure that you tighten these up well. If you're not planning to take them off for transport, which personally I wouldn't, I would make sure you put a little bit of a coupor just on the threads, but don't use thread lock. Thread lock will eat away at the plastic. Now when you do them up, you've got to make sure that this back edge, just here, as you can see, sits flush against the nacelle, and that's how you can tell if you've got it in the right place. If you haven't, you'll end up with a lip either side. So I'm just going to screw that on now. So now that the nacelle's on, As you can see, the gear doors on the bottom are really nice. You've got the full scale exhaust on either side. You've got your wires placed in and put in the control board. Make sure that all the wires are well pushed in, as some of mine weren't. So I'm just going to double check them now. It's better to check them now than have them fall out in flight. So once you've got the wing and the nacelle on and you've got all of the wiring all sorted, you will end up with one pin left over on the control board in here that says gear door. All the gear doors that are in here are spring loaded, so when the gear comes up it pulls itself up, so you don't have to worry about that. In your bag of bitch you'll have one of these ribbon cables. This is your quick release and disconnect cable. So what you need to do is on the inside, it's all handed so you can't get it in the wrong way or in the wrong place. Just put that wire in and make sure it trails out the side of the wing. Again, the same with the power cable. Make sure that's nice and flat on the outside. You'll then have one of these. Now it will be shiny on one side and matte on the other. Make sure you glue it shiny side down. If you glue it matte side down, you end up with this horrible colour match, whereas if you do it the other way around, it's the same colour. So make sure your wires are pushed down. You'll have in your kit the usual free wing glue, which is a contact adhesive. Also makes it so that if you have to get it off, it's more easy to get off than if it was like an epoxy resin. So just on the other side you'll see you've got this lip all the way around where you can glue to. So just make sure that you do it all the way down there. You don't need massive amounts, I mean it's only a servo cover. As long as there's enough to hold it on. And then don't go all the way over the edge, as there's nothing to glue to. So just make sure all of those are pushed in nicely and then just slide the cover on. Just push it down, make sure the glue hits the surface and then pull it straight back off. Once you've pulled it off, let it go off for about 60 seconds and then you can push it back on. As you can see, when you've got this cover on, it covers up the wires really well, and they've got the servo tape which is not the same colour as well. Another great thing about this model is you've got full ball links across all the surfaces and full nylon hinging, which is really nice. For a model of this size, nylon hinging is getting a necessity. And you've got your free wing digital metal geared servos, and you've got a full light set, so you've got landing lights and nav lights in the front. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do exactly the same process that I've done for this wing on the other wing, and then I'll join you for the next part of the build. So once you've got all the wings together, the next thing to do is to stick the tail onto the fuselage. So you'll see the fuselage has this locating block and also this little triangle block just here. In your elevator you'll see that you've got the same thing, triangle block, mounting block and the rod. All your wires will be shoved down inside of here. Please make sure that before you glue this on, you trail the wires down through here. So it's not too far a trail, though it can be a little bit fiddly. So I'm just going to do that now before I glue it on. So now I've got the wires trailed down the fuselage. It's a matter of just gluing this plate and that plate into the fuzz. Now I'm going to use the free wing glue because personally I think it's a good enough glue for this. A lot of people that I know have been thinking about using epoxy. The only problem I found with epoxy on EPO is that it tends to lose its stick over a year or two. I had one of the Freeman Eurofighters, one of the early ones, and the glue went so brittle after a tile it just peeled off the wings. So I'm going to use the free wing glue because it's a nice rubbery glue, so it won't break or get brittle, it will stay flexible with the foam. So I'm just going to do the same thing that I did with the nacelles and the bits, is just to glue the surface all the way around, push it in, but I'm only going to leave it sort of 10 seconds. That way it still gives you a little bit of curing time to make sure that when you push it in, it's still a little bit wet, so you can still move it a little bit. So next thing to do is to put the wing on. So I've put these 2 wires through this hole here and the ribbon wire from the wing connector through. Make sure that none of these wires out of this control box get caught either. You've got 2 carbon wing spars. You've got the big spar and the thinner spar, thinner ones at the back, bigger ones at the front, and then just push the wing too. So once you've pushed the wing together, you can see that you've got your 2 screw holes there and right at the back. You've got the short stubbier screws. They're the ones that you need to use. You should have 4 in the bag. Now I've seen people put Loctite or super glue on these. I personally am not, because I want to be able to take the wing off. With it being 1600mm wingspan and 1400 long, it can be a little bit difficult to travel if you keep it in one piece. However, if you make it so that the wings can come off, because it's not that difficult to get them on and off, then you end up with a more transportable model. Literally just screw them in front and back, and then you do exactly the same for the other side. So I'm going to do that now. So on this control board that's in here, you'll have 2 wires. Now unfortunately, Freewing on mine have put the servos in the wrong place. So the rudder servo needs to be in the no steering servo switch. The gear door, the gears are in the right place. The gear door one isn't used. So what you need to do is plug your elevator one, sorry, your rudder one, into the bottom in here. And then once you've done that, making sure that the polarization is the same, which it is, and then your elevator servo needs to be pulled through underneath here, as that does not go into the control board. That just goes straight into your receiver. So I'm going to pull that through the bottom of the fuselage, just underneath the control board here there's a gap. Pull it through there, and then that's ready to go straight into the receiver. So once you've done that, and all your leads are all tidied up, you've got your 2 fly leads, your one from your right wing and your one from your left wing, and they just go into the corresponding slots. Again, they're handed, so they do have little pins so you can't get them in backwards, and you just push them in, which makes the wing connection really quick and easy when you get to the field, if you decide to take the wing on and off all the time, which as I said I shall be. And then once they're pushed in, that's everything all done. The next thing to do is to plug all of the connections into your receiver, and the first thing I'll do is I'm going to pull the undercarriage down, so then I can work on the elevator with the undercarriage down. It just gives a little bit more support while you're working on it. So to put the elevators on, all you need to do is locate the carbon rod in one side into the hole, and just give it a little bit of a wiggle, and then push it up nice and tight. On the back of the elevator, which you can see just here, there's a little triangular part here that goes on the outside of the other half. So all you do is put it back on the carbon rod on the other side and push it up just the same as you have done on there. Make sure they connect. There we go, there's the click to say that that's all connected up. And then what you've got is you've then got 4 screw holes on the top of the tail, which you can see just there. All it is you get 4 little screws, put them in each side, then that's the elevator all connected up. So obviously the first thing that you need to do once you've got all the control surfaces on and everything like that is to connect the horns onto the servos. Now this is really important that you follow the manual's instructions. So if I bring that in there, as you can see you've got the whole diagram of where the push rod mounting holes are, where your push rod sides are. Please follow this exactly as it is in the manual. And it is exactly right. I've flown it like that and there's no problem. So just make sure that the push rod sizes are right and everything like that. What you're going to need to do is you're going to need to connect the model up. So all the servos, when they come out of the box, are laid flat, like you can see here. You just need to get them so that they're all in their neutral position. I've just done this one servo for the time being, just so that you can see exactly how to do it. The push rods, it's a really easy thing to put on. All it is you get your push rod, which has already got your ball link on the end. Just snap the ball link onto there, like that. You may need to move it because obviously I haven't set this up on my radio. And once you've snapped it up, rotate it round so that it's facing in the right direction. Then just push it through the hole like that. Then just put your swing keeper over the top like that, and then pull it round and just clip it up. There we go. That's how to do all of the control surfaces around the whole plane. So I'm going to go around and do all of them now, and then I'll meet you in a second. Obviously now once everything's together and all the control horns are on the kit, next thing to do is to put the propellers together. So you've got a front hub, a rear hub, and then you've got 3 blades and another 3 blades, both in separate bags. Now both of these blades, sets I should say, run in contra directions. So you'll need to make sure that the set that's in the bag, they are kept together. Now the installation of the blades is the same as most of the free FLIGHTLINE RC kits or freewing kits. You literally just place them in the hub, they lock in, and then you've got a bag of screws. All you do is you just screw them down, and then once you've done that, the top bit goes on the top, and then you've got a screw there. That screw goes into the front of the motor shaft once you've put these on. So once you've got the front of the prop on the back plate there, to get this front plate on, stick it over the front, then in the back of here you can see 3 holes. Use the same screws that you used to put the blades on at the front, push those through, screw them up, and that will hold that front part on nice and tight. Once you've put the front on like that, all you need to do is square it up with the square bit on the back. You'll feel it slot in. If it's not, it will tend to stick out like that. You can just rotate it. Get it so it slots in. Grab your screwdriver, grab one of these screws which has got a little bit of blue Loctite on it, and just put that through the front of the spinner cap. Then tighten that up. Just make sure it's located. Now this screw does take quite a while to screw up, as it does stick in quite a long way. So be patient with it, but don't over tighten it when you get to the end, just because you don't want to pull the threads out of the motor shaft. So as you can see, I've got the batteries in. Now I'm using 4200mAh 4 cells. I'm using 2 of them. Now they are quite a lot heavier than the batteries that they recommend with Freewing. However, you can get it to balance, which means that your flight times are going to be absolutely absurd, because they recommend 3200s to 4000s. Difference is these are 45C, so you'll get that extra punch, so you won't be losing that much performance. You'll lose a little bit in the vertical, but at the end of the day it's a scale warbird. So in your flight times on this setup, using these batteries in the Lavochkin and the Spitfire that FLIGHTLINE RC do, which is a similar setup, I'm looking at 8 minutes. So I'm expecting to see 8 minutes out of this, maybe even more, because of how sleek the airframe is. As you can see, I've had to move the battery back that far, but Freewing do include some little bits of anti-slip foam, like this, just to go underneath the batteries, which is a really nice little addition. So even if you do have to move the batteries around just to get the plane to balance, then the little bits of anti-slip matting will make sure that it doesn't go. Now I glue these in with a little bit of CA on each corner or on each side, just to keep them nice and taut, but as you can see they're just about the right size and the right width. So a nice little addition from Freewing. The next thing, obviously, we've got all the little scale details to do. So you've got, in this bag here, you've got the wing pitot tube, which I'm probably going to keep off for the first few times I've taken it to the field, just to make sure it doesn't fall off. It is made of a tough plastic, so there is a chance it could snap. Then you've got all your guns in the bag as well, which are really nice, and then you've got your aerial, which just goes with a little bit of glue in the top there. The great thing about the FLIGHTLINE RC Tigercat is the amount of decals you get. So you get propeller decals, which go on each of the propeller blades. You get all of these different decal sets, which give you a complete set for the whole aircraft. You do get in the instructions a whole where to put the stickers, and then if dependent on which version you're doing, what stickers you need to go where, which is a really nice little thing, so there's no confusion as to where anything goes. So I'm going to get on and put the transfers on now, and I'll catch you for the final bit. Thank you for joining me for the build overview of the Tigercat. As you can see, it's an absolutely stunning model with all the scale details, full light set, tracks, all the hinges on this are nylon, so you've not got to worry about it. The ailerons and the rudder are inlaid hinges, with the elevator just being your standard hinge. Elevator and rudder are run by 17-gram Metal Gear digitals, and then the rest of the control surfaces are ran by 9-gram digital Metal Gears. I can get the Desire Power 4200 45Cs in, however it is a little bit of a squeeze and they are a tiny bit heavy. So I'd recommend something around the 3800s to 3300s just to run it on. But if you wanted to go a big pack, you can fit them in. But then I'd probably, if you were flying off grass, recommend the upgraded aluminium struts that you can get for this, as the wire struts on this are perfectly adequate for what you'd normally use it for, but with the extra weight, the aluminium is just going to take the shock off the airframe that little bit more, just make it a little bit better on grass. So I hope you enjoyed the video. It's an absolutely stunning model from FLIGHTLINE RC, and at a fantastic price as well. So thank you for joining me, and we'll catch you at the flying field for the flying video.